In 1985, Dario Argento released a horror movie about a teenage girl at a boarding school who telepathically communicates with bugs who help her solve a murder. Oh, and there's a chimp as well. It's the absolutely insane Phenomena, also known as creepers. What's going on, my friends? Welcome again to the Cobweb channel. My name is Daniel, and welcome to the first episode of a new review series I'm trying out where I'll be taking a look at horror's most bonkers movies. I know a lot of horror fans out there are rabid for the craziest, the weirdest, the most out there movies. So in this series, we're going to be looking at the craziest movies and asking just how bonkers are they. We're kicking off today with Dario Argento's Phenomena, also known as Creepers. You see, Phenomena is 110 minutes long, and Creepers is the much shorter US cut, edited down to only 82 minutes. A lot of people who grew up in the 80s and saw this movie back then grew up on the Creepers cut and are very nostalgic about it. For me, I've never successfully gotten through the Creepers cut. I find it just so badly edited. The conversations make absolutely no sense because like half the lines are missing. It's just zipping through things like crazy. So I'm not a Creepers fan, but I am a Phenomena fan. So let's dive in.
It's perfectly normal for insects to be slightly telepathic.
Yeah, it's normal for insects. But am I normal?
So we kick off in the beautiful Swiss countryside where this movie was filmed, and it actually takes place, or as is said many times in the movie, a very strange part of the country. And it's the first time in the movie we hear the amazing score by Goblin. Goblin worked with Dario Argento many times, like for Suspiria, and no exception here, this score is awesome. And our first character is a 14-year-old tourist who has just missed her bus. And this is actually Dario Argento's daughter, Fiora Argento. She didn't stick around in the business like Asia Argento did, his more famous daughter, and that's because she discovered she didn't really like acting. But her presence here is immediately interesting because she doesn't look like the usual 22-year-old fashion model, the type that Dario Argento likes to kill off in a lot of his movies, but she does look genuinely 14. She looks like a kid, and it is setting up that this is going to be a brutal, crazy Argento horror movie about kids. Now that she's stuck in the middle of nowhere, she goes looking for help and barges into a strange cottage, as you do. And I know your clock is ticking on waiting for a kill to happen. I'm tapping my wrist. And yes, a kill is going to happen. A chain wraps around her neck, scissors go into her hand. This movie's cutting right to the chase. But it's not enough to take her down. Now we get a chase scene, but we can't see who's chasing her. So we've got that killer POV that is so standard in Argento giallo films. And as is also standard, we do get an absolutely epic and beautiful kill scene where she gets stabbed and her head in very slow motion crashes into a window. Heads crashing through glass at a kill scene is like a signature Argento move. And she loses her head, but we don't see the actual decapitation. But we see her head falling, and yeah, this movie starting off in a very brutal note against a 14-year-old. Okay, now we've got the real star of the movie, the chimpanzee. This is Inga, who is the pet of Dr. John McGregor. And now we're cutting to a scene where Dr. John McGregor is talking with the police, and they're trying to investigate this girl's murder, as well as a whole string of murders that are now happening against a lot of young women. And yes, this is Donald Pleasence. So cool to see Donald Pleasence in a Dario Argento film. If you want to know where he was at with the Halloween franchise at this time, this was after 1981 with Halloween 2, but before 1988 with Halloween 4. And here we get a very low-key Donald Pleasence performance.
Aren't you forgetting something? 15 days while the body was submerged in the lake before the putrefying gases brought it to the surface.
I've heard some people say he's just kind of sleepy and boring in this movie, and I really don't agree. I think he's good. He's doing some kind of weird accent. It's supposed to be Scottish. Doesn't sound super Scottish to me, but I'm not an accent expert, so I don't really care. And it is just nice to see him more understated in the 1980s, not running around Haddonfield screaming about how the evil is loose. But the police are consulting Dr. McGregor because he is an entomologist. He studies insects. And Argento was actually first inspired to write this movie because he heard about insects being used in the actual solving of a murder, which actually can happen, especially they can determine the time of death much by the insects that are in the corpse. So there is some basis in actual fact here.
So our victim was decapitated Some 8 months ago.
And 15 days.
And yes, Dr. McGregor does have a pet chimpanzee, Inga, who is the real star of the movie.
Oh, I forgot to introduce you. This is Inga.
There's really like no reason for a chimpanzee to be in this movie, but for some reason there is, and the chimpanzee is going to have a lot to do. And I just think if you're living around a lot of insects, because this is your life's work, chimpanzees do eat insects, so does that ever become a problem? But there are a couple of interesting notes here. One, they only ever find the heads of these girls. The bodies are always missing. That's creepy. I feel like usually it's the opposite, like the killer takes the heads.
The body was never found.
And Dr. McGregor is curious about his old assistant, Rita, who is missing, and he believes that she's also been a victim of these killings, but there's no proof of it yet. I'm sure that's going to come back around to become relevant later in this movie, right? Right? But all right, now we're introduced to the real star of the movie, Jennifer Connelly as Jennifer Corvino. That's going to make her name so easy to remember in the course of this review. I really appreciate that. Now, really cool to see Jennifer Connelly in a Dario Argento movie. Probably not the kind of thing you ever thought happened if you weren't aware of this movie already. This was her second movie. She first appeared in Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in America, but her first starring movie. And the next year, she would do Labyrinth. So it's pretty amazing that her first three movies are classics, movies that are still very well remembered to this day. Well, maybe not everybody considers Phenomena a classic, but a cult classic, and it's certainly a classic to me. And this movie is just packed with great actors you know and love, because Daria Nicolodi is in here as well. As is usual, she's in most of Dario Argento's movies, at least for quite some time. She was married to Argento at the time, although this film was made right about at the end of their relationship. And this is the first time that the location will be referred to as a very strange part of the country.
It's a very unusual area. People call it the Swiss Transylvania.
The Swiss Transylvania? Why do they call it that? Are there vampires around?
Why?
Oh, I don't know. They just do.
Oh, okay. I don't know why that's in the script. And it's established that her father is somebody important, somebody famous. That is going to become relevant later in the movie. Well, sort of. It's a thing. But what is going to be relevant throughout the whole movie is she absolutely loves insects. She's really living a bug's life.
And so Jennifer arrives in Switzerland from the New World.
Whoa. Okay, you cannot start narration now. We're 13 minutes in the movie. You should have started at the beginning of the film. But okay, now that you started it, I assume we're going to get narration throughout the film. No. Now Jennifer is at the boarding school for girls that her father sent her to, and she meets her new roommate, Sophie. Now, what's totally normal in this scene is Jennifer is hungry. She's been traveling for a long time. She probably wants to get a sandwich, something like that. But the only food in the room is baby food. So she's going to eat baby food? Okay.
How is it? Like cat food?
Cat food? It tastes like cat food and you're still going to eat it? They give a decent explanation for why there's baby food in there.
My parents left it when they came to visit me with my little brother.
But why do you need to give that explanation? Why is there baby food? Why, of all things, did Argento decide for her to eat baby food? Now Sophie starts freaking out because the evil headmistress is taking away her poster of her teen heartthrob, who is Paul Corvino, who Jennifer knows.
Have you been to bed with him?
Paul Corvino is my father.
Oh, that's gross.
Yes, her father is a big movie star, fictional character, Paul Corvino. Now, originally, Argento wanted Jennifer's character to be the daughter of Al Pacino, and he was actually going to include Al Pacino clips in here, but of course, they had to ask Pacino for permission, and he said no. He said he did not appreciate there being a movie about a daughter that he doesn't even actually have. And I think it's understandable. I totally get it. Her father never actually shows up in this movie, but I always imagine him as Timothy Dalton. I think because she co-starred with Timothy Dalton in The Rocketeer and he plays a famous movie star in that. That's where my brain goes. It always makes sense to me. Now we're cutting outside to this girl we've never met before who is on the run from something scary. So your clock is ticking. It's time for another kill. Seems like we're here. And the music is actually not the score by Goblin. It's Flesh of the Blade by Iron Maiden. This movie actually works in quite a bit of 80s heavy metal in there. I really like it. I think it's really cool when a movie can incorporate a song really well, like into the score of the film. A couple of other great examples of that are I Got Five on It in Us and Where Is My Mind in Malignant. And there is something interesting about watching this girl with a candle going around a dark, spooky mansion, traditionally gothic imagery, to heavy hair metal. I dig it. It's something different. Jennifer sits up, but she seems to be sleepwalking, and the girl ends up being stabbed right in front of Jennifer. Another face through the glass, because one is never enough. And a spear goes through her mouth. Again, it's YouTube. I probably can't show you, but the spear through her mouth. It is a crazy, really well done gore shot, and it definitely tells us our killer's weapon of choice is a spear. What is the last giallo movie you saw where the killer used a spear? Okay, probably Bay of Blood, but still, there's not a lot of them. But Jennifer's troubles are not over. She ends up falling off the balcony and then gets hit by a car. But don't worry, these very nice guys end up picking her up. They're probably going to drive her home. But okay, something weird is going on here. What is happening with these two? Like, is the idea that he's like assaulting her? Because it doesn't connect. It doesn't look like that. It's just like weird, awkward holding. I don't know what is happening. I don't even have a theory. But she ends up falling out of that car. What a weird, pointless detour. And she is found by somebody that's actually helpful, Inga, the chimpanzee. Inga leads her to the home of Dr. McGregor, and she confirms that she was sleepwalking. And he then again brings up his old missing assistant, Rita, and says she looks a lot like her. Okay, surely this is going to become important. But I actually really like this scene. The two bond like pretty much right away over their mutual love of insects, and they just become fast friends. And I just think Jennifer Connelly and Donald Pleasance are really good together. He just seems like such a sweet old man, like such a great grandpa. I love both of these characters. I think Phenomena gets a lot of credit for being weird bonkers out there, and obviously that's what we're doing in this video. But it is a little bit underrated in terms of characters, dialogue, story, dare I say. There's a lot of good stuff in this movie, and the chemistry between these two actors is one of them. But it's not all fun and games, because he talks about the phone.
The phone. Very particular wind. When it blows, there are those who say it causes madness. It's a strange part of the country.
So I guess this is why it's called the Swiss Transylvania.
The Swiss Transylvania.
There's a spooky wind. Spooky wind is going to become important in this movie, right? I guess the spooky wind is behind everything. All right, after a full day of classes,
Screw the past. Screw the past.
Sophie sneaks out to meet up with her boyfriend, a character who's only in this movie for like a minute, to say goodbye to him.
Really, Sophie, I have to go. I have to join my regiment at dawn.
She says goodbye in this really tender moment.
You shit.
What did you say?
I said you.
Okay, geez, Sophie, calm down. What a way to say goodbye to this guy. But of course, if you're in an 80s horror movie and you sneak out to meet your boyfriend, you're going to get murdered. And now we see the spear getting put together. Really cool, nice attention to detail of the weapon. Argento movies are usually really good for that. And Sophie does get speared, possibly because the killer mistook her for Jennifer since she was wearing her clothing. But we don't actually see Sophie get speared. It happens a little bit off screen. Jennifer like almost gets to witness it, but doesn't. And she goes out to investigate. And the score is absolutely rocking. While Jennifer is communicating with this firefly, and it makes this feel so epic. I mean, this is such a cool, iconic 80s horror shot. Her talking to this firefly, it's leading her, and the score is so big, it's so epic. We've got to be leading to such an amazing moment. Oh, okay, she finds a glove. She just finds a glove, and she goes inside, and oh, that's all. But when she goes to talk to Mr. Gregor about all of this, she mentions she then had maggots on her hand. And they think the glove belonged to the killer and there are maggots on his hand because he likes to keep the dead bodies close by. Remember, they only find the heads. They don't find the bodies. This is actually some more legitimate investigating than we often get in giallo movies. Sometimes the investigation is kind of vibes only, but they really are finding clues and figuring things out. This is pretty darn good. But of course, Dr. McGregor's got to stop things to wax poetic about bugs.
In ancient Greece, the butterfly symbolized the soul.
This is sort of true in that there is a Greek goddess named Psyche who is often depicted with butterfly wings, but I think he's going a little bit far with the poetry of the mystery of bugs.
What is this association between insects and the human soul? Is it because of the multifarious mystery of them both?
Honestly, this moment kind of reminds me of The Big Lebowski.
What makes a man, Mr. Lebowski? Is it being prepared to do the right thing?
Sure, that and a pair of testicles.
But okay, she has now finally confirmed that she does indeed communicate with bugs, and Dr. McGregor is fully on board.
Extrasensory perception that are unusual in human beings are perfectly natural in insects.
This is why I think Donald Pleasance is so good in this movie, in that the stuff he's talking about is so ridiculous. I mean, no, insects do not really have telepathy. They just operate on instinct, and that's why ants can work so well together. I'm not a scientist, by the way, but according to my understanding, ants work very well together because they're operating on instinct. They're not actually telepathically communicating with each other.
I wrote a book about this very subject. You may have it. It's perfectly normal for insects to be slightly telepathic.
But Donald Pleasance sells this so well in that, hey, insects can do this. So you have just tapped into it. And he just never doubts it for a second. So we as the audience don't. We're like, yes, this girl telepathically communicates with bugs. Let's go. But back at the school, she becomes the victim of ruthless bullying.
Jennifer.
Wow. You really got her. Way to go, Regina. But to retaliate, she uses her bug powers to freak them out. If you didn't think this movie was supernatural before, you absolutely have confirmation. Her bug powers have increased exponentially, and this scene is awesome. It doesn't have a whole lot of significance to the murder mystery part, but I mean, the visuals of it, the bugs swarming, they achieved all of these bug swarming effects by actually filming coffee grounds floating down in a water tank and just superimposing that over a different background, which is really cool and creative, and it does look great. This is, I mean, the flies are just coming out like crazy. This moment is absolutely bonkers, but it's really cool. But the evil headmistress is definitely not amused and is going to send her to a mental hospital, saying she is diabolic.
The Bible also refers to the devil as Baal-zebub, which means Lord of the Flies. Look at her, the Lady of the Flies.
But seriously, reacting to a girl doing something strange by just immediately comparing her to the devil or accusing her of witchcraft or something like that is like, well, honestly, like the most historically accurate thing you can do. So like, this is the least bonkers thing in the movie. But back hanging out with her true friend, Dr. McGregor, he talks about how flies are really good at finding dead bodies from a very long distance. And that's actually true. They can do it from about 10 miles away. So to solve this case, he wants to send out the two greatest detectives.
We have to call on the services of the two greatest detectives, you and him.
Two greatest detectives of all time. So yes, the plan is for the fly to lead them to all of the dead bodies that this killer is clearly keeping around. And Jennifer's just going to communicate with and follow that fly. It's like, this is just such an insane way to do a murder mystery movie. But like, you've just never seen anything else like it. This movie is so unique. And if you're going to have a movie where a girl can communicate with bugs, this is a pretty cool way to do it. I mean, I think this is awesome. And the plan is actually working because the fly does lead her to the house where the opening scene took place. It does seem kind of unsafe for her to be exploring a murder scene alone when she's the exact type of victim that this killer tends to prefer, and it definitely unsafe because now she meets this creepy guy. Turns out he's the estate agent, and then he meets Inspector Geiger outside as the police inspector investigating all this stuff. I think we kind of have to deduce here that McGregor told Inspector Geiger about all of this off screen, so he's been following Jennifer to try to otherwise it doesn't make any sense why he's showing up here. And back at Dr. McGregor's house, the chimp senses that something is wrong, and it's right because a spear stabs Johnny, and what a creepy looking figure we see here. But when the killer is trying to get away, Inga chases him down and is holding on to the car from the outside that the killer's trying to get away in. Chimp holding on to the car, absolutely bonkers. But also, like, the killer is driving a car. I mean, come on, slasher killers don't normally do that.
For God's sakes, he can't drive a car. He was doing very well last night. Maybe someone around here gave him lessons.
Oh, wait, no, never mind. Slasher killers definitely do that.
Hey, jerk. Speed kill.
So now Jennifer is just trying to get home, which is a very reasonable reaction. She is not just some dumb horror character by any means. But of course, it's not going to work out. Dario Nicolodi shows up because her father's attorney called her. That's a character we haven't really talked about, but he's been talked about a lot in this movie. Morris Shapiro, her father's attorney, who she is the only person she's been able to contact, not her dad. Timothy Dalton, not a good dad. And because Jennifer refuses to go back to that boarding school because she's smart. She's a smart character. Dario Nicolodi just takes her back to her house. And I like the way Jennifer delivers this line.
Why are the mirrors covered like that?
It sounds like she realizes, oh no, This is bad. I'm in a terrible situation. Why are the mirrors covered up? And yes, she is in a terrible situation because Daria Nicolodi, by the way, her character's name is Frau Bruckner. I've just not been calling her by her name, but Daria Nicolodi gets increasingly creepy as the movie goes on, and I think she's really good in this movie. I actually think the acting in this movie is really good for an Italian horror movie. I mean, the only performances you could say maybe seem bad are just actors who English isn't their first language, and it makes sense for the characters. But she is so good at slowly unraveling and revealing more and more just how crazy she is. She talks about how she lives with her small son, and something is wrong with him, and she won't let him out into the world. And I love this line she says.
He stays in his room with his crazy thoughts.
He just stays in his room with his crazy thoughts. Something about that really creeps me out. And when Jennifer thinks she's found that son, we get this creepy image of him sitting. Okay, no, that's clearly a doll.
I kicked the train by mistake. It hit him. Maybe he's hurt.
Wait, she actually thinks that's a real person? That's crazy.
Don't grab him like that.
Wait, she still thinks that's a real person? Jennifer, get it together. Okay, she must think she's in a B horror movie with way worse effects than this movie has.
You have a fever in this part of the country with this wind. It's hardly surprising.
Ah, there it is. The crazy wind makes a return for some reason. Is the wind just to blame for all the stuff in this movie? Jennifer tries to make a phone call, but gets cold-cocked by Daria, and then she pulls a switch, and all the doors and windows get sealed. That's a creepy feature. Good old Inspector Geiger is here to save the day, but instead he just launches into an exposition dump with Daria.
15 years ago, when you were still working in Basel, you were assaulted.
It does reveal that she was assaulted by a prisoner in a mental hospital. It's a very disturbing backstory, and no doubt it is the backstory for the son. Now Jennifer is trying to get away, and Flesh of the Blade comes back. And first she finds a chained up Inspector Geiger down there, so definitely some time has passed. And then she falls into a pool of all of these dead bodies. Honestly, it reminds me a bit of Poltergeist, but it is absolutely bonkers. It is so disgusting, and it feels like this movie has just went from like 60 to 100 real fast. I almost went 0 to 100, but we've never been at 0 in this film. Man, her evil laughter is so scary, and Geiger breaks his own thumb to escape and attacks her and just starts killing her. Jennifer takes this as her opportunity to get the hell out of there. Man, I can't even imagine how bad she smells right now. But now she believes she has found the son. She goes up to him to help him because clearly this kid's got a crazy mother, and the kid is right next to a covered up mirror. Daria did have a line a little bit earlier that she covers up all mirrors in the house so the son doesn't have to see himself. Jennifer takes the mirror down, and he turns around, and it's a super scary face. Look at the makeup on here, terrifying. He's even got maggots on his face, and I just love how he's next to the mirror. So what's scarier than one scary face? Two scary faces at the same time. There was a bit of a continuity error to make this happen. She pulls down the mirror cover, then it's back, then it's gone, but it's fine. Now, I should note Argento did get some inspiration for this face from an actual condition called Pateau syndrome. And usually when people refer to the son in this movie, he is called Pateau, even though he's not named in the film. But now she gets away, and this little dude jumps in the boat with her, and he has got a spear. So he has definitely taken part in these killings. Not sure exactly which ones were Daria and which ones were him, but the little guy's definitely pulling his weight. You got to give him credit. And now, of course, she calls on Bugs to save her. It is an insane sequence with these flies and bugs swarming around him. You can see his flesh getting ripped off, and he falls in the water. I mean, this movie just keeps getting crazier and crazier. And now she has to go into the water because the boat blows up. Michael Bay would be pleased. And now he's attacking her underwater. He's missing his face. Honestly, this whole climax reminds me a lot of the ending of Jason Lives, Friday Part 6, which wouldn't actually come out until the next year. But she gets away. Morris, the attorney, finally shows up. The cavalry is here to save the day. Oh no, he gets decapitated. God, this movie will not let up. It just keeps getting crazier. Yes, crazy Daria is back. Jennifer is definitely cooked now, except she is saved by the chimp. The chimp is cutting her up with a scalpel. It's the true hero, the true savior of this movie. Even though in real life behind the scenes, the chimp did bite Jennifer Connelly's finger.
It was heartbreaking. She bit me.
Bit you?
Yeah. So he's like, just put her, if she tries to turn, put your hand on her shoulder and don't let her turn around. So I said, okay. So I do that, and she just
Really?
Reportedly, I read bit actual whole piece of it off, and they had to go to the hospital and get it reattached. So chimpanzees can be very, very vicious.
Chimps are the worst.
Okay, we have reached the end of this movie. I am absolutely exhausted. The climax here is so crazy. So let's go to a new rating system that I'm planning to do for this review series. Running down all the bonkers content in Phenomena, Dr. McGregor has a pet chimp. Swiss Transylvania. Jennifer looks like Dr. McGregor's old assistant, which doesn't go anywhere. There's narration once, then never again. Jennifer eats baby food, which tastes like cat food. Inexplicable heavy metal music. The killer uses a spear. Bug telepathy. Insects are like the soul. Chimp attacks the killer's car. The two greatest detectives are Jennifer and a fly. Jennifer thinks a clear doll is a kid. Pool of dead bodies. Scary-faced killer kid. Bug murder. Corpse underwater attack. Lawyer decapitation. And chimp murder for the win. Overall, I'm going to give Phenomena a bonkers score of 9 out of 10 and an overall score of 8 out of 10. I think this movie's legitimately good. I love it. So what do you think of Phenomena, and what do you think about this slightly switched up review format? Let me know down in the comments below. Let's talk about this. And if you want to hang out with me more, you can click this video right over here or this playlist for all of my deep dive reviews of Lucio Fulci's Gates of Hell trilogy. If you enjoyed this video, you'll enjoy those. If you haven't yet, give a like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.